Why does America pay ridiculously low wages when the cost of living is so high? Seriously. Why? And when will we do something about it? My husband and I were making 3x more before I lost my job than we were 10 years ago and still living paycheck to paycheck. And when I interview for positions, the pay offer is lower than what I was offered at entry level. It's laughable. I can literally make more money driving for DoorDash and it's still not enough. Because money and greed are everything in America. Because the wealthy will never be satisfied with what they have. American capitalism is a grotesque system, and corporate capture of the government and society allows for it as long as there won't be a revolution of pitchforks and torches. The bosses will do whatever the fuck they can get away with for as long as they can. America has too many brainwashed bootlickers for a revolution to seem feasible. Fast food and circuses are in abundance. However, because the government doesn't give a fuck about its citizens, it is bought and paid for by the billionaire class and it will never be enough money for them, so that those at the top can keep more of the revenue for themselves. As an American, you are a commodity to be drained of all value so the rich can be slightly richer. Capitalism. Because so many working class people were swindled into thinking unions were bad. United we bargain, divided we beg. 'Cause they can and no one is stopping them. Because greed. There's no other answer. Because people aren't organizing enough locally and sharing what history has proven is the only effective answer is banned online for good reason. The owning class seldom gives up power peacefully. Because some or maybe most of the profiteers don't give a damn about workers. It's called free market capitalism. For the last 40 years wages have been dropping. The system is so bad now that you barely have the means to exist paycheck to paycheck. It's slavery with extra steps. If you destroy organized labor, the workforce has no recourse or leverage to increase wages. Rather than risk the stigmas of poverty or homelessness, they will blindly follow the empty ethos of working harder will get me ahead. We get trapped into wage slavery. The plebs never manage to unionize. Greed. This country for so many years hated communism. The USSR had a huge divide between the rich and the poor. The rich being the government, now the oligarchs like Putin. Then the poor being everyone else. We're becoming more and more like that each day. Greed. Plain old-fashioned fucking greed. Greed. Something slave labor. And we never really got rid of slavery. It just got rebranded. It's because of you. Americans only care about themselves. If we all united like France, the poor, middle class and homeless alike, we could burn this country down and redistribute the wealth. They're doing all this because they can and there is no one to stop them. It's really that simple. To keep people working harder to have higher productivity and keep costs low for higher profit margins for shareholders and CEOs. As well as to keep people from owning property to keep them paying rent and keep property in the hands of the few. Because capitalism's aim is to make profit for stakeholders, not to provide the necessities of life for society. It is more profitable to let you starve in the street than it is to feed and house you. Therefore you are left to starve in the street. I don't know, but I'm angry as hell about it. People that did my same job, but less work. We're making well over 6 figures 5 years ago. Now I'll be scraping in with $90,000 after taxes, which goes by fast thanks to inflated everything and working a hell of a lot harder and fronting my own travel expenses to be reimbursed 4 weeks later. I don't want to work 4 side hustles and a full-time job to make it work. I just want to get paid an appropriate amount. When will we do something about it is right. I would love to hear what we can do. If we had enough people collectively striking, then maybe something would change. The writers did it and got most of their demands met. I think it's time that people in low-wage jobs, essential workers, etc. strike as well. The problem is getting the masses to do that isn't exactly easy. Because we keep not eating the billionaires. Corporate profits. America was built on slavery and ain't trying to quit now. When the rich fuck over the workers in America, they are too distracted by some trans girl drinking a beer to do anything about it. When the rich try to fuck over the workers in, say, France, they burn down a bunch of police stations. It ain't just America. We haven't killed enough of the benevolent employer class recently enough. When compared to the cost of living, the U.S. actually pays rather well. The U.S. ranks 3rd in average wage and 12th in cost of living. 2/3 of American households make over $50,000 per year and 1/2 make over $75,000 per year. Both numbers are enough in most of the country. I know this will come as a shock to many people in this sub. But rich people are greedy assholes across the entire planet. This is not a uniquely American trait. And you will also find that the wealthy have an outsized influence on government and policy in every single nation. It has been this way throughout the history of the human race. Slavery is how we roll. Is like that all over the world, not just United States. Because our government is only about one thing, and it's not the people they are supposed to serve. Capitalism, baby, quit wasting time on this forum. The overlords will not be pleased. Because a handful of people control most of the wealth and all of the power. The entire country is organized to serve their whims. Capitalism. Because that's what capitalism is. Next question. What a normal country would do is increase their workers' pay. But some American business are decreasing it. Government would increase the minimum wage to at least something more appropriate. But it hasn't changed since 2009, 14 years ago, leaving it about half as much as it should be. Those at the bottom should have more power when a business has more demand for workers. But those at the top are too stubborn to play the game and pay people more. Because they don't give a fuck about you. I don't think I have ever given this many upvotes. Because greedy companies can. Is it that surprising when you consider that our country was founded by rich tax dodgers? Unrestrained capitalism was such a good idea. I'm sorry, but this can't be an actual question. Look around you. You're poor and they hate you for it. America has more contempt for the poor than any other Western nation. They hate you. They think you're trash, and no matter how hard you work, they don't think it's enough, and you should be thanking them for the crumbs they accidentally let you have. Actually, Americans' wages are extremely high compared to the rest of the world. Even adjusted for cost of living, Americans have the 8th highest income in the world. This is not a compliment to America. This is a diss to the rest of the world. Greed. It's always greed. The U.S. has some of the highest salaries in the world. Historically, being a wage slave has pretty much always been a struggle. The baby boomer period was an anomaly, historically speaking, and salaries have been going down since then compared to the cost of living. The only way out for most people is some kind of entrepreneurship. Eat or be eaten. Because they can? Why is this so hard? The less money I pay to other people, the more money for me. You don't get rich giving money away. We work hard for those that don't have to. Sounds like you need a different job. The pay is very high here.